And we're back. Hey guys, I have been watching all your messages come on board. I'm going to say hello to some of the folks here. We're going to give you guys another minute on board. We've got Kevin here. We've got Harsh. We got Jamar. What's going on, man? Jean, Bonnie, Maggie from the UK. All right, we got Sue in the house. Mark, thank you for making it on time today. I'm giving a hard time. We've got Rita. Hello, we've got Angela, Mike, Lori, Mario. We've got one here. Glenda from Seattle. Guys, welcome aboard to day 2. And we keep getting messages. I love it, guys. Keep telling me. Thank you, Kevin. Hashtag I am rebuilt. Right on. Awesome. Hey, Laura. Oh my gosh, guys. So welcome back to day 2. William Mays in the house. Guys, keep sending me your welcome messages. I love knowing who it is that we're talking to today, where you're from, and more importantly, what's in your coffee mug. Usually I have something interesting, but we haven't. We've been busy getting everything ready today. Yeah. So we just got the plain old water. So
Water's good.
Water's good. It's good. We're in my garage, so we need some. Yeah. Patricia, I'm so glad you made it. Kay from Alaska. Oh, I'm so glad to hear this. My occupational therapist right there. She's one of our OTs that comes on board. Tamar's got his coffee. All right, guys. So day 2. Yesterday was all about the balance and all the ins and outs about human balance, how the brain processes balance. Let me hear, who are my smarty Alex out there? I want to know if you guys remember the 3 systems that process balance. Go ahead and let's throw it in the section. Charles said, I'm booming my new speakers. I have recently connected to it. Hey, Rhonda, thank you for joining. Harsh says, must have lemonade. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Harsh. I should have had lemonade. All about balance. We talk how the processes it, what happens during amputation. And we did some exercises with Reggie that he was very gracious to demonstrate for us, how you can start improving your balance. So for those of you who weren't able to make it yesterday, or if you weren't able to stay for the entire time, that's why God invented the replay. Okay, and it's available on my YouTube channel and also my Facebook page, guys. So today's talk, let's see, we got Susan on board, we got Kevin from the Tar Heel State. What's up, heel? Love it. Teresa's on. Teresa, you made it. I'm glad you can make it. We've got Kathy and Jeff. Hey, Jeff. So got core. And do I need to introduce I need to introduce my co-host. This is Reggie.
Hey, Cosi Nation. How's everybody doing?
So College Park, I want to take this moment to thank that College Park Industries, who they were so generous to fly out Reggie so he could be here with me in the studio, and also Prosthetic Center of Excellence. And they're flying out one of their top stars tomorrow for tomorrow's show with Alex DeHinton.
My man Alex. We climbed a mountain together in Ecuador.
That's right. We got to arrange this better next year where we have everybody at the same time. We got to do that next year. Special thank you to my sponsors and also to my supporters for this event, Vital Fit, for donating products for the swag bag, and also Socket Socks, Joan McDonald. She does a beautiful product, and she has been donating Socket Socks for the raffle giveaways that we've been doing. We're going to be doing this next couple of days. So thank you to everybody who is helping make this show possible. And right now, furiously taking pictures that you can't see her, but I got to give her a shout out, is my girl, Kristen. She is the brains behind this operation. No doubt about it right there. She's nodding, she's going, yeah, that's me. That's right. We keep it together. All right, guys. So today's talk is about the human core, okay? And I chose these talks between balance, core, and gait because these are the questions that you are always asking me on my Wednesday night shows. And while I feel like I do a decent job, I always feel like there's a need to have a good foundational lecture on what all of this means so that you guys can refer back to it. And just also the ability to demonstrate some simple is that all of you will be able to start doing from your home, whether you're below the knee, above the knee, unilateral, bilateral, if you're fresh out of your amputation, or if you're out. The exercises we're going to be doing today will apply to all of you. So I'm very excited about that. All right, guys, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get the school on. All right. So guys, we hear a lot about the core in pop culture, right? How you should be strengthening it, how it needs to be strong to prevent other injuries and problems in the human body. But what is your core? Okay. A lot of people are under the impression that the core is referring to the six-pack, sexy six-pack. And the reason is because it looks good, right? That's what we like to focus on when we're working out, when we're trying to trim the pounds. And that's what usually gets a lot of the attention. But you're ignoring all the rest of the core. And actually, Kristen, can you grab me a soda from the fridge? I just realized I needed my soda to demonstrate. Stick with me on this one, guys. Your core goes much deeper than the six-pack. Your being, thank you, darling, the foundation of your body. That's why they call it the core, okay? It's responsible for bringing support to all of your abdominal organs. It's also responsible for giving you the support and giving you the foundation to be able to walk well, whether you have a prosthesis or whether you're walking with two anatomical legs, okay? If your core is not balanced, meaning if there's a core that is weaker, that is tight, that is not working nicely with the other part of the core, you're going to run into problems. Some of the obvious ones are back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, but you can even get problems in your hip and knee pain that is coming directly from the core, okay? And not to mention for those of you who are trying to walk with a prosthesis, if your core is not balanced and tight and strong, you're going to have to expend that much more energy to walk. And I don't have to tell you, walking with a prosthesis is already tiring enough, okay? You don't need to have other things lumped on top of that to make it more challenging, right? Now, if I had to put money on it, and maybe a research study here and there, one of the biggest problems that people encounter from having a weak core, what do you think it is, guys? I don't think it has a guess. I'm going to even give you a cheat sheet. Lower back pain. There you have it.
Really?
There you have it.
Okay.
See, you got it. All right. Back pain. Do I have your attention? First, Cosi pull. Robert, you're on board. I love it. Thank you for coming. All right, guys. Christina from Florida, still trying to walk by myself. Walker just can't seem to get it. Christina, I want you to watch yesterday's show about balance, and you're gonna see a lot of explanations there on what it takes to get to release that walker and cane. Okay, let's go back to the back pain. Back pain, yes. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Charles. Guys, quick Cosi. How many of you have had back pain? And you can even specify for me how many of you have had back pain since your amputation. Right, guys. Back pain is a $100 billion industry. That's a lot of cheese. Okay, the reason behind that is because it's just that prevalent in the human population, right? So Christina says yes, Jean says back pain, Megan says knee, Diana says sometimes, right? At some point or another, unfortunately, in the life of an amputee, they're going to experience, Kay says, prior to and after amputation, back pain, okay? Now, guys, there can be many different causes to back pain. There could be a part of the skeletal structure, and we'll bring in Bob, he's in the corner right now, that's not aligned properly. There could be a part of the pelvis or the spine that is just not aligned properly. It could be that you have tight hip flexors. That's another big one, right? But I promise you, every single person who has back pain is going to exhibit some sort of weakness or tightness or imbalance somewhere in their core. Guaranteed. Okay? So guys, if you remember yesterday, I talked about how Mother Nature likes balance, okay? And with regards to balance, Mother Nature needs to have balance between the visual system, vestibular system, and the somatosensory system in order for your balance to be good and efficient, right? With your core, same thing. Mother Nature likes balance and order, okay? So here's what happens when things are not done in order. Typically, when you go pick up an object from the floor, let's say it's something very light, like a face mask, right? Your body is going to engage smaller muscle groups to pick up the object from the floor. If it's a heavier object, okay, like my husband's toolkit that we're going to be using there shortly, your body's going to start engaging the larger muscle groups and recruiting more muscle fibers. Makes sense, right? So what happens when there's injury? Or what happens when there is non-use, meaning those of you who have been working from your home due to COVID and you're sitting down a lot more, you're a lot more sedentary, your muscles aren't working quite as hard, and they're getting a little. So now, when you go pick up that light object from the fleek, and your body starts to engage the big guns, just to pick up a little light thing. And this happens over and over and over again. Doing their job, the big muscle groups are having to work overtime, which then leads to fatigue in those muscles, injury, and putting stress on other structures in your body. Okay, you guys with me here? Let's see what you guys are saying over here. Yeah, so Angela says back pain, pinched nerves, and bulging discs. Okay, so that's a perfect example of what happens when these muscles and these structures, these supportive structures, get weak. And our skeletal system is not going to be supported. And the stress goes to those discs and to those nerves, and things get bulged out of the way where they're supposed to be. All right. So let's talk a little bit about basic, my favorite part. This is the part where I want you taking notes. This is the part that I like. This is where, oh, this feels so nice and cold. I just want to go right now. All right. To me, when I think of the human core, I think of the soda. Okay. It's all connected. There's a top, there's a bottom, and there's an around. Okay. So let's talk about the abdominal muscles. And I think my girl is going to throw up a picture for me right now. Can she do that? Yeah. We found a picture, guys. We're getting fancy. Hang on. Please hold. Please hold. All right. So in this picture, okay, it's obviously being looked at from the side. Okay. You have your abdominal muscles right in the front. And the front, the most superficial, the rectus abdominis, that is your six-pack, right? In Reggie's case, it's an eight-pack, right? And then you have your internal obliques. Those are the ones that go in the pattern. Underneath all of that is your transverse abdominis. And I think hopefully you guys can see it's labeled quite nicely. And as if you can see in that transverse abdominis, guys, if you look closely, the fibers are running horizontally across the body. And you can see there's connections to the back of the spine back there. Okay. And you can see, we're going to go into this a little bit later. You can see how it's got a little bit of a connection to the diaphragm and to the pelvic floor. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to the regular. Can we do that? Okay, yay! See, this is why I have Kristen here. She makes the magic happen. So guys, with the transverse abdominis, I like to call it the corset muscle because that's exactly what it looks like. And that's exactly what it does, okay? That is your primary support for your spine, for your back, for your core, okay? And it's the one that gets the least amount of love. And as we're gonna find out with Reggie when we do the exercises, it can be a little tricky to start engaging that transverse abdominis muscle. Okay, because the other muscles that are more superficial, that rectus abdominis, the internal and external obliques, they want to take over and do the work. Okay, so you have to really be able to isolate and specifically train the transverse abdominis so that it starts to engage, though you had that a little bit later on. Okay, the basics with the core, if the core is not strong from the deepest structure, you're not going to have a strong core. Okay, we learned that. You got a taste of those exercises today.
They're a little tricky.
Yeah. And Reggie's a strong guy. Reggie's a strong guy. All right. So if we looked at the abdominal muscles, okay, now we're going to talk about the back extensors, okay, the back of the soda can. Okay. Now, if you look at the back, a person's back, okay, you're going to see like their little spine, their vertebral canal, the bony parts, and then you see two nice long muscles running down a person's back in the middle of their back, right? Those are just the back extensors. If you look underneath them, and let's go ahead and put that picture back up. I know we're back and forth. Yay. All right, guys. So if you look underneath those long back extensors, it's called the multifidus, okay? And it's really tiny. It's about maybe an inch or two long. And this multifidus muscle, the plural multifidi, if you want to get fancy on me, right? It runs up and down your spine. And it's really concentrated in that lower back, okay? This is one of the deeper muscles of the back extensors. This muscle is in charge of exactly that, extending your back up, okay? It's in charge of helping you bend sideways, what we call lateral flexion. And it's also in charge of helping you with trunk rotation. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see with this picture, but it has its connections with the transverse abdominis. So do you go back to the Cosi picture? Your transverse transverse abdominis, right, is connected to those multifidi muscles, right, and some of those back extensor muscles the same way that this Coke bottle, this Coke Sprite can is running around in one piece, okay? Now, the thing with the multifidus is because it's so deep in there, once again, it's hard to get it to activate. And there are some people out there who say there's no way you can strengthen the multifidus and isolate that, but we're going to prove them wrong today. We're going to show you an exercise for the multifidus muscle. But again, if that little muscle isn't doing its job, then the bigger muscles on top are going to start to pick up the slack, and they're going to get worn out and they're going to get fatigued. So I don't know about y'all, but I know for me, when I'm standing for a very, very long period of time, and everybody's a little bit different, I start to feel that pain right in the middle of my back right here. And that usually means that for me, my long extensors, the big ones, they're doing too much work. I need to know, okay, I got to start strengthening the multifidus muscle to really get that deep core strong. Thumbs up? Guys, give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Let me know if I'm making any sense whatsoever. Am I making any sense, Roger?
You make sense to me.
I make sense?
I'm learning a whole lot right now.
We're getting here.
Total sense.
I know I get on my nerd tangent, nerd wagon, and I just kind of start, woo, okay. So, all right, guys. So the front abdominal muscles, we've got the back extensors, and we learned that they're all connected. Thank you, Megan. She's giving me a thumbs up. Royce is giving me a that's fab. I love it, right? And it's all connected. So let's talk about the other two parts of your core. And this is the one where people really really ignore these two parts. The top part, the diaphragm. Can we get that beautiful picture up again? Thank you, Jamar. Thank you, David. I got an amen from David. I like that, man. Okay. So guys, can you see the picture of the diaphragm right there? Okay. It's located, I call it the big fatty respiratory muscle. It's located right here under your lungs, under your rib cage. Okay. And in its relaxed position, it's in a dome shape. And you can kind of see that little arc dome in the picture there. And hopefully you can see, if you look real closely at that picture, you can see how it connections to the transverse abdominis. It has connections to the multifidus, and it's got connections to other parts of your body. It's not just isolated by itself. All right, let's take it back. Okay, so in the diaphragm, in its resting position, it's got that nice little dome shape. And as the diaphragm contracts and you take a breath in, it flattens out. And I should be demonstrated right here. So it's a diaphragm here, it flattens out, right? And it increases your chest cavity. It increases the amount of air that can come in. And as you exhale, right, diaphragm comes back out again, pushes the air out, okay? Now here's the thing with the diaphragm. You can't breathe without it. You need it, right? You don't even know that you're using it, but you need it. The problem is a lot of us don't utilize it correctly. And this is when we had, like, both of us struggled with this exercise today, this morning, when we were practicing what we're going to teach you later on, diaphragmatic breathing. Okay. So even though we have to use our diaphragm to breathe, oftentimes we're not using it correctly, or we're not using it efficiently. So what happens? I mean, the diaphragm is not the primary stabilizer of your spine, but if that's not working efficiently, right, other muscles are going to try to pick up the slack. Muscles that are in charge of power, not stability. So you're using power muscles to try to stabilize the core because the diaphragm's not doing its job. You're going to run into some really tired muscles. And also respiratory. There's a bunch of other little respiratory muscles all throughout our chest cavity that if they're working hard to get you to breathe efficient and your diaphragm's not working properly, those respiratory muscles are going to get very tired and fatigued, and you're going to start running into shoulder pain and neck pain. Right? Last but not least, Christina says, I'm holding my breath without knowing it. And guys, there's a lot of things that we're going to be teaching you today to kind of get you started. I know I'm kind of throwing the kitchen sink and everything at you right now, and it sounds like doom and gloom, but we're going to teach you right now how you can pick all of this apart and then put it back together again. All right, Royce, I have trouble writing my own name. I don't think I can write a book right now. And then Christina says, I hold my breath without knowing it. And yes, this is something that we are going to be addressing during these exercises. All right, so we talked front abdominals, we talked back extensors, we talked diaphragm. Now we're going to talk about the not so sexy part about the core, that one that's a little bit embarrassing for a lot of people to talk about, pelvic floor. So let's go ahead and get that picture up there. And guys, this is something that for me, in terms of when you have problems with your core, this is the part that can impact the quality of your lifestyle the most. And yes, I do hear the majority of pelvic floor issues from specifically my older women and women who have had pregnancies, but this can also happen in younger women, and this can also happen in men, okay? So I'm gonna give you this information now, and if anything kind of clicks for you, okay, hopefully this will give you a couple of light bulb moments. So your pelvic floor, okay, and this is how I describe it. When you sit on a horse in a saddle, your pelvic floor is the part of your body that's in contact with the horse, right? It runs from the front part of your pelvis, and you can see it here, all the way to the back to your coccyx, also known as your tailbone, okay? And it's made up like a hammock of muscles. There is no support from skeleton or bony structures with the pelvic floor, okay? So let's go back to the regular picture. Thank you, Kristen. So if you think of your core, right, as a soda can, abdominals, back extensors, diaphragm, pelvic floor, what would happen if I went Hulk on you and squeezed the soda can? This would balloon out. This would blow out that way, okay? So think about when you are lifting a super heavy object, what are you doing? You're bracing yourself, right? You're essentially, so if that hammock of muscles under there is not strong, it's gonna bottom out on you. Think about when you're using a prosthesis. You're having to really expend more energy. Many of you hold your breath because you're just trying to brace yourself, first learning how to use a prosthesis. So this pelvic floor is getting a lot of stress. So what are some of the common problems that can happen when you start to have pelvic dysfunction? Stress incontinence, pelvic pain, pain during sexual intercourse, spasms in that area that aren't the good kind, right? And also just herniations for men. That's where you have some problems with herniations in that area. So as you can imagine, this is something that many patients are very reluctant to talk about, and to talk about some of these things. And many people don't understand that this is not just a normal aging thing. And it's not just one of those things you got to deal with as you get older. Guys, in my profession, I started practicing 18 years ago. Pelvic floor dysfunction was only a footnote in my education. Now you have pelvic floor therapists, specialists all over the place. And that is a wonderful thing. And guys, if I sound like I'm kind of beating a dead horse with this, it's because I've seen so many men and women get back the quality of their life when they went to go see a pelvic floor. They just mentioned to me, it's embarrassing, but when I'm using my prosthesis, I have a little bit of incontinence. I don't make it to the bathroom on time. Okay. So now that you're in the safety and the comfort of your own home and the privacy of your own home, if you feel like these are some of the symptoms that you're experiencing, this is where I would tell you right now, in your Google, type in pelvic floor therapist in my area. And here's the beautiful thing about pelvic floor therapists. I'm giving them a huge shout out today. They don't just examine the pelvic floor. They are probably the expert on the entire core. Right? There was one pelvic floor therapist I went to go see. She had an ultrasound to look at my transverse abdominis. We talked about this. I had abdominal surgery a little while ago, and she was looking at my transverse abdominis. She looked at the entire core, and she was able to really pinpoint where I needed to do strengthening. And I'm a therapist, guys. I should know this stuff, right? Okay. So if these are issues that you're experiencing with pelvic floor, I would highly encourage you to go find a pelvic floor therapist. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So, an average amputee like myself, if I were to start pelvic floor therapy, how long before I would start to see improvement on average? On average,
I mean, obviously every person's different depending on the trauma, if there's any trauma. So for example, the most obvious example is a woman who's just had a child, right? There's a lot of trauma in that area, a lot of healing that needs to occur, and a lot of strengthening. But these therapists, they really know how to pinpoint and teach how to isolate strengthening those muscles. I've seen improvement in less than 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, I've had, and again, guys, this to me is a big part of quality of life, where I've had women call me on the phone and they said, I went to that therapist she recommended to me, and she had me doing some pelvic floor stuff and then stuff like, she goes, I haven't had to run to the bathroom and had an accident. Guys, that's big. That's big. Okay. And I know it's a little embarrassing to talk about, but I feel like this is something
It's real. We need to talk about it.
for both
Yeah,
men and women
absolutely.
to be aware about. Okay. So guys, we have talked a lot. Let me see some of these comments. Oh, Harsh, you were very kind. Thank you. Okay, so Charles says, I learned much about the diaphragm in my stage acting class years ago. Yes, because in order to be able to project your voice, you really have to be able to utilize properly how to use that diaphragm and really use it to its full efficiency. Okay, okay. So guys, I've talked to you about the anatomy, right? Front abdominals, back extensors, diaphragm, pelvic floor, and stuff that can go wrong when things are not working properly. Okay, so what's a gal to do? What's a guy to do? What are you supposed to do if you feel like your core needs work on any part of it? Okay, so much like everything you hear me say here is find the root of the problem. Find the root of the problem. Okay, some of you who might be going in because you have pelvic floor dysfunction, when that therapist evaluates you, they might trace it back up and say, you know what, your diaphragm ain't working too good. Or you're not engaging your transverse abdominis on one side. They can really pinpoint it just that closely and be able to tell you this is where the root of the problem is, and that's where we need to start addressing it. Okay? Now, I did mention that your core works all together, right? But before it can learn to work all together, it's got to learn how to work on its own. Okay, and those are the exercises we'll be doing today. Okay, before your transverse abdominis can play nicely with your multifidus in the back, your transverse abdominis needs to know how to contract on its own. You need to know how to get it to activate. You need to know how to activate your multifidus. You need to know how to activate your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. And then once you isolate those four groups and you're able to learn to activate them, and this takes time, guys, like Reggie was doing quite a few repetitions here, and it takes work. It takes work, right? Then you start teaching them how to work together. You start teaching the diaphragm how to work together with the transverse abdominis. You start engaging your pelvic floor while you're doing transverse abdominis work, and you start combining these different muscle groups together in very simple movements. And then as you get stronger, then you put a little more spice into the movements in terms of adding some rotational components while keeping all the parts of the core engaged. Okay. And guys, this for me, so my first internship, quick story, my first internship as a student, we were talking about that internship today, was in Miami, and it was an orthopedic internship. And this woman came in, she had a herniated disc that was bulging, radiating pain down her leg. She wanted to have surgery, but her surgeon convinced her, wait a second, go to therapy, right? And for me, even as a student, I'm like, this therapy's not gonna work. Have you seen the size of that bulging disc on the MRI? This therapy's not gonna work. And we started working on her core, and with my clinical instructor, obviously. And within 4 weeks, guys, within 4 weeks, her pain from her leg disappeared. That herniation started to reduce back because we were strengthening her core and allowing her spine to be supported. Okay, so it's pretty impressive what we can do with the human body when we know what's going on behind it and how to activate the right mechanics. Now, does this work for everybody? No, there are some cases where surgery is needed, but it's just to give you an idea. This is the world that's available to you. Okay, all right, let's read some messages here. I'm talking way too much.
No, but you're bringing the knowledge.
Oh.
We need that.
So Susan says, how to identify a true pelvic floor therapist as opposed to those who have pelvic floor as one of their many keywords on their website? Excellent question, Susan. Those who are pelvic floor therapists, they're going to have it in neon lights all over their website. The same way that when you go to my website, you know exactly what my specialty is with amputee. Okay, now this being said, Susan, when a therapist graduates and has a license, we are licensed to practice in all the different specialties. In my earlier years, before I niched down to working with amputees, I worked with pediatrics, burn patients, cardiac patients, transplant patients, infectious disease, orthopedic trauma, you name it, I've been there, done that, okay? I just chose to specialize in amputee. With pelvic floor, you're gonna notice a similar thing. Those therapists may very well have a lot of experience in other specialties, which is a good thing, okay? and they niche down into the pelvic floor dysfunction. It's as simple as calling them and saying, are you a pelvic floor specialist? Okay. And they'll be honest. And if you're not sure, you can say, how many pelvic floor patients do you see on average a week? And if they're like, well, I see 1 or 2 a month, then you might want to keep looking. Okay. But fortunately, Susan, there's a lot more of them out there than there used to be. And then the other specialty that you can also go to, even if they don't know how to treat, even if they've never worked with someone with a prosthesis, are the back pain specialists. And boy, those are on billboards all over the place, right? You'll find a lot of back pain specialists. And many of them will have pelvic floor training because in order to treat back pain, sometimes you got to treat pelvic floor, right? So Charles asked, what, if any, specific exercises should I use now to aim to avoid any conditions I might suffer later on in life? Well, thank you for that segue, Charles. We're going to be bringing you some exercises very shortly, okay? And these exercises are preventative, and they're foundational exercises, and they're also for exercises for folks who might have some active back pain or active symptoms going on. All right? So I think, guys, we are ready, oh yeah, for the first giveaway.
Yeah,
Yes.
give away some stuff.
Yes. All right,
Some
guys.
swag.
And it's my turn to go first today. All right, guys. So this giveaway, you're going to have your choice of either a Cosi Talks mug or beer glass, or in my case, iced coffee glass, or in his case, margarita glass. You're going to have your choice of one of these two and a beautiful Socket Socks cover, prosthetic cover. Here's the question, guys. Ready? Get your fingers ready. Go to my YouTube channel, which Kristen is going to post. Tell me the title of your favorite video. Go. And then I'm going to pick a winner out from the people who answer. You're going to talk for a bit. So I'm right now.
Yeah, that would be great. Jeopardy music.
All right. We got Travis on board. And guys, we're going to take, after we finish this particular giveaway, we're going to take a really quick 1 minute I just said horse because Linda put up there on the horse. 1 minute commercial break. And when we come back from this commercial break, Reggie's got some really amazing things to talk about. So we're going to, oh, here we go. Linda says, this makes sense to me. In the accident, I also had a book fracture to my pelvis. Riding my horses helped me so much with strengthening my core. Harsh likes the phantom pain. Roy's is running drills front. Susan, how to do crossovers. Limb shortage. There we go. Live with Vital Fit and Greg. Diana with the booty crossovers. That's my favorite. I like that video. Just good name. All right. Learning to cross over. Shrinkage. There we go. All right, guys. Our winner is Susan Cotton. All right. Susan, congratulations. Susan, when we wrap up the show, please send me a message to my email. What's my email? Cosi@cositalks.com. I should know that, right? And let me know your address so I can ship out all these goodies to you. And guys, between yesterday and today, I know there were several questions I did not get to. Please send them to me on an email. You can either go to my website and submit a question there, or you can just go straight to my email, Cosi@cositalks.com. Send it to me. I'll be answering those questions tonight, all the questions that I may have missed. But I'm gonna dig into the Sprite, and we're gonna take a 1 minute commercial break, guys. Stick around. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. Hey guys, we are back. Hope you all are still with us. Yeah, we got a good crowd going on. We're going to give you guys a few seconds to jump back on board, those of you who decided to take a break. So when Reggie and I were talking about what we wanted to discuss on day 2 yesterday, you got to hear his beautiful story about limb loss and everything he'd been. Yesterday was or 2 days ago was your anniversary, right?
That was my anniversary. 43 years ago, Memorial Day is when I became an amputee.
And guys, it's a beautiful story to listen to and to hear Reggie tell it. So if you didn't get the chance to do so yesterday, go back to the YouTube channel and listen to his interview. But today we wanted to kind of bring up another topic. It's another bit of a ticklish topic that not many people like to bring up. And it's something that needs a little bit of awareness, especially with the way our society is today and things kind of up and down and up and down. And that is more of like the psychological recovery from limb loss, and specifically recovery from limb loss during the time of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you are years out like Reggie, or many of you here watching today, I know you've had your amputation in the past year during the shutdown, and just how your life is impacted that much more from it. So Reggie, you worked for College Park, obviously, and prior to COVID, you were traveling man. You were
I
everywhere.
was getting it in.
Yeah.
I was traveling quite a bit over the years with College Park, reaching out to a lot of mom and pop support groups, foundations, nonprofit foundations, doing a lot of good work. And that's the beautiful thing that I have to shamelessly plug College Park with, because we truly care about our community, and being able to use some of the resources that we have to make a difference in the amputee community is very, very important. That's a huge mission statement for us, as well as some other prosthetic foot and component manufacturers. And so just wanted to make that known. But yeah, when COVID hit, there was a mandate put out by our CEO that says, no, everybody's no more traveling, salespeople, you guys are grounded now. We've got to be smart about this thing until we know what we're dealing with. And so I didn't get a chance to go out into the community like I have been doing for so many years and directly, personally impacting people's lives. And I'm going to tell you, when you're a person like myself, I was raised to be a man of service, that I get a high off of being able to help other people. If I'm driving down the highway, I see somebody stopped on the side of the road, they have a flat tire, I've got everything in the back of my truck to help them. I want to pull over, help them, and go on their way. This is the village mentality, and everybody helps everybody else. And when all that stops, when you're not able to help anybody else, you go through a depression. It's a real thing. And I've experienced it firsthand. I've experienced some depression over the year, and dealing with it has been challenging.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that helps me, though, is my support group. It's my family. It's my peers, the amputee community. And I'm a leader in my community, in my amputee community. I would consider myself to be a leader, and I'm a grown man. I'm a strong man. I've been through a lot of things. I have a lot of experience, but if it can happen to me, then I know it's happening to other people that are in our community. Just going through a traumatic amputation in itself is depressing and traumatizing. So we need to really focus on not only the physical rehabilitation when we experience an amputation, but we have to think about our psychological and emotional trauma that we go through. And that's something that I think sometimes we tend to overlook. And one of the things, like I said, that's helped me is being able to be transparent and being able to share some of the fears, some of the weaknesses, some of the hurt that I've experienced, and talk to other people who have been there. And this is really, really important. I think, me personally, I experience things. I'm a very spiritual person. And I know that the good Lord puts me through certain situations so that I can experience them firsthand. And then I can then passionately and purposefully go out into the world and help other people as they go through their journey. And this is what gives me purpose. But, people consider me a motivator. They consider me an inspirer, but sometimes I need motivation. Sometimes I need inspiration. And where do I get it from? I get it from you. I get it from my peers. So one hand washes the other. I'm a caretaker for my mother. I'm a caregiver for my mother. She's 91. She has dementia. And I'm going to tell you, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life is to provide care for your aging parent. During this time, during a pandemic, during the lockdown, and I'm a Papa Bear, I'm very overprotective. I have a 22-year-old daughter, and I've been overprotective ever since she was born. But here I am, this grown man who I've been blessed to travel around the world. I've raced motorcycles, I've flown airplanes, and all of a sudden, none of that is happening. Mm-hmm. None of this, I've climbed mountains. None of that exciting stuff is happening in my life. You're stuck in a condominium, you're stuck in an apartment, with, your immediate family, and you can't go out very much, and you got to be very careful about who you're around. And none of us have experienced this in our lifetimes. Well, and not in my generation, since the Spanish flu pandemic that went on back in the 1918s. Yeah. So we don't know how to deal with this. This is all brand new for us. But I'm going to tell you, it's really, really important, people. It's really important to reach out and get some help. Just last month was Mental Health Awareness Month. The month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And the Amputee Coalition actually shed some light on that. And they had a link in some of their posts, which took you to their website. And they have a lot of resources which will help you deal with some mental health issues. And this is a real thing, people. This is something that we as people in general in this society, we need to talk about. You look at just recently, the professional tennis player, Naomi Osaka, yes. She withdrew from the French Open because of her anxiety and depression issues. And I just give her so much credit for having the platform and the courage to be able to tell the world that, listen, I've got anxiety and I'm depressed at times and I need some help. And you guys aren't making it very easy for me. You're making it actually harder. She went through, if you read the story, she went through some challenging issues with the people who run the French Open. Mm-hmm. And they find her and they want to find her in the future because she didn't want to talk to the press. Well, she's scared. She's nervous. She didn't want to go out and expose herself. And for some of us, it's very easy to do that. For others, it's not so easy. But at the end of the day, she's reaching out, looking for help. So that's huge. And I commend her for her courage to be so young and to put herself out there. Because it's taken a lot of time. It's taken a lot of years for me to develop the courage to be able to say, you know what, I've got some depression here. I'm always smiling. I'm always looking at the glass being half full as compared to being half empty. I'm a very optimistic person. But life can throw you curveballs and life can beat you down sometimes to where you feel hopeless, where you feel like there is no tomorrow, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sure some of you have felt this way. I've felt this way on occasion, but I'm going to tell you, it's really, really important to reach out to somebody, reach out to family, reach out to friends. And we have the benefit of the internet. We have Cosi Talks. You can reach out to Cosi. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to all your friends, all your followers. Many of you have made friendships along the way as you come in and sit during Cosi's broadcasts. Talk to somebody, please. Please reach out and talk to somebody. I'm this dude, I'm strong, I'm stubborn, I'm from the old school, and no, I don't need any help. Hey, can I hold the door for you? Nah, man, I'm good. I'm okay. No, sometimes you're not good. Sometimes you're not okay. And it's really, really important and it's smart to reach out to somebody to get some help. So,
and I'm just going to read some of the comments here that are coming in because I guess one of the reasons I wanted folks to talk about this today is to show you are not the only one going through
this.
You're
not alone.
That you're not alone. And so Maggie says, surgery during lockdown was really tough. Just when support was needed the most, I was isolated. at home alone.
There you go.
Roy's is completely agreeing with you, Reggie, and Mark's as well. And Diana's saying, so true, Reggie, this is a life change in which we will always have ups and downs. This life change will not go away. We need each other for encouragement.
Yes, we do.
And then Teresa said, getting an elective amputation February 2020 is like going through my traumatic accident in 1980 all over again. Bonnie says, I've been stuck at home with no real support since amputation 3 years ago, still in a wheelchair, nowhere to go. Okay. And guys, this is something that I briefly touched upon in October. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and some of you may or may not know that I went through my own breast cancer treatment. And that was definitely a wake-up call for me as a mom, as a woman, as a wife, as a clinician. Prior to that, I always respected the importance of the psychological recovery of my patients. I am not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, but because of the fact that I spend a lot of time with my amputee patients, I would see the psychological struggles as they went through the different parts of the healing process and trying to help them and providing resources. But certainly hit home when I was on the other side of that hospital bed, when I became the patient, when I became the one who had the world turned upside down, was something like cancer. And realizing that the physical recovery in the grand scheme of things was actually a piece of cake compared to, I'm not diminishing the physical part, but compared to the lifelong spiritual, emotional, psychological recovery, because it is a lifelong journey.
Yep.
And I think it hit me when I finished chemo and I thought, okay, I should feel this 500-pound weight lifted off my shoulders. And I didn't, because in my personal experience, the realization that this cancer could come back and that I was going to have to live with that for the rest of my life with 4 young children. And realizing that I needed someone, the anxiety and things like that, that thankfully I recognized in myself within the first few weeks, but realizing I need to find that outlet. Me personally, I am not a support group person. I am someone who likes to talk one-on-one, and for me, in my case, it was finding a priest in the local church who used to be a physical therapist. So for me, that was just a perfect fit because he used to be a clinician. So he knew my kind of crazy and he knew how to talk to me with regards to my faith. And that's what I used. And I continue to use throughout the years. Okay. And I've always encouraged on the show, whether it's a social worker, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a member of the clergy who has training. Many members of our clergy will have training to be counselors, a psychologist, a psychiatrist. Guys, for me, this was my mentality of going to my particular priest, was saying, I'd rather him tell me that I'm okay and that I'm coping with an abnormal situation the right way, okay, and have him tell me it's okay, keep doing what you're doing, than to have a breakdown down the line. And guys, this is something my mentor, I have two amazing mentors that shaped me into the PT that I am today. One of them is named Paul Claconis, and you've heard me talk about him. He would tell his patients, and I would observe, he would say, you are a normal human being dealing with an abnormal situation in a normal way. Right, guys?
Mic drop.
Having a limb amputated, that is not normal. Having cancer try to eat your body is not normal. Our human minds were not meant to handle that by ourselves.
That's right.
And I don't talk about this very often because for me, it's still very real for me. I'm only 5 years out and I got a long ways to go because I want to see grandkids and great-grandkids. So I'm still struggling with some of this myself. My mind sometimes cannot wrap itself around the fact that I had cancer. And I have patients who come to me and they say, I get it, it's not growing back, but I'm still processing that it's not there, right? And these same patients say, I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm like, you're not going crazy. You're just trying to deal with some really serious
sugar honey iced tea.
Thank you. Because my kids will watch this someday. So get the help, guys. You need the help. It's not something that can be done on its own. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to beat cancer. It takes a village to continue with this.
If I could say one more thing too, is I think something that has compounded the issue for me and for other people, some of your viewers as well, is comparing your lives to other people on the internet, on social media. And we tend to post things, a lot of us post things on social media that show the best sides of us or the best times that we're having with our friends and with our families. And we don't delve into the dark side or the depressionary times. We don't show the bad photos. We always, oh, no, I need to take another picture because that one doesn't quite look right. Or we need to add some filters to make ourselves look better. And then we post that on social media, and other people who are going through a dark time, we see the best sides of other people. And we tend to compare, and we say, they're having a great time, but I'm not. We don't see that other people are struggling with their own issues as well. And I just wanted to bring that to light, that everybody is dealing with something. Not everybody, nobody has this perfect life where they wake up so super happy every day and the birds are chirping and, you know, their bills are all paid and they have no physical ailments and no pain and all that kind of stuff. Everybody's dealing with something. And I can tell you, you will be more happy if you reach out to somebody to get help if you are dealing with, some emotional, some psychological issues. Please get the help.
And then I like what Kay says. She says, comparison is the thief of joy.
That's right.
I like that one.
Yep.
I'm going to steal that one, Kay. I like that.
Comparison is the thief of joy. That's perfect.
And here's another. And again, everybody has their different coping strategies and coping mechanisms. And again, this in my case, I was so fortunate that when I worked in the burn trauma center and the orthopedic trauma, spinal cord injury, I worked alongside some of the best psychologists I've ever met. And I would bring them into the room with me to help with some of the patients who became quadriplegics or paraplegics and realized they were never going to walk again, who had severely debilitating burn injuries. I mean, just things, and hearing the coping strategies that the psychologists would give my patients, I use them on myself. And there's so many different strategies, but I remember one of the strategies, and this also came into play when I first became a mother and had that life-altering event. And I'm sure you experienced this when you became a dad. Like, your life is never going to be the same, right? That, oh dear heavens, what have we done? Right? And then when you have 2 and 3 and 4, right? And there's that period of adjustment in your life where you have to acknowledge your life is never going to be the same. You are not going to be the same person you were prior to having a child. There is that period of adjustment and acceptance, and then afterwards, hopefully, the period of realizing that life can be good again.
That's right.
Life can be joyful.
I experienced that with just aging. Just getting older. Like, oh man, things are changing. I need to accept this. The fact that things have changed.
And then I know many of you probably also look back on those pictures prior to your limb loss. I know I look back on the pictures prior to my cancer, specifically that year, those months where the cancer was growing in me and I didn't know it. I hadn't been diagnosed yet. And looking at that woman in the pictures going, I don't recognize her anymore. And that's like, right? And realizing that will never be me again, but that there is joy in my life, there is happiness in my life, and that there is continued healing that will continue to happen. Diane says, being a new double amputee and having CRPS and torso and upper body weigh on me now, so I like the saying, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Okay. Let's see. Teresa says, comparison robs your joy, hence not on social media much. Yeah. And guys, as much as I love social media because of what the platform it allows me, there's definitely a time where I just have to go to my phone and go.
You gotta turn it off sometimes. You have to.
Done.
Yep.
Done. That was heavy, man. That was. Woo. All right, guys. Thank you for those of you who shared with us, because I know this is heavy to share some of this stuff. But those of you who shared, thank you. Those of you who chose not to share, thank you for listening. And yeah, so with that, we're gonna do. Let's bring some giveaways. We gotta give away some stuff. I gotta give away stuff.
Gotta get some sweat.
So guys, can you grab me that prosthetic water bottle, please, and the face mask? Thank you, sir. We're kind of informal here at the studio. I'm like, go offset, grab me this for me. Okay. So guys, this next giveaway is provided by my sponsor, Prosthetic Center of Excellence. They are an amazing prosthetics clinic out in Las Vegas, Nevada. co-owners Ed and Leslie Sisson. Wonderful people, wonderful leaders in the community as well. So show them some love. Actually, you're going to show them some love now because you're going to go to their website. We're going to post that link for you. We have Prosthetic Center of Excellence, really nice workout sports bottle. We've got the mask, and we also have a $20 Amazon gift card that's in here that you'll receive. All right, guys. So there's the link, right, for Prosthetic Center of Excellence. Actually, we need their website. Can we grab their website link? Thank you, darling. She's on it. She's on. My girl's on it. She's on it. Please hold. That's what my friend will do to me. Whenever I'm getting on her nerves, she'll just go, please hold.
I do. All right. Y'all ready?
All right, you ready for this, guys? Stay with me now. All right, you're going to see the website address for Prosthetic Center of Excellence. I want you to go there and tell me when, you got to scroll down the page, when did they move to their brand new, beautiful facility? And we're going to, whoever comments on there, we're going to pick out a winner. So go. Las Vegas Prosthetics. All right, guys, so go to their website, scroll down their main page, tell me, when did they move to their new facility? And has Alex shown you the pictures?
No, he hasn't.
It's beautiful.
Is it? Yeah,
It is beautiful. They took an old building. It's not new. It's an old building, but they just revamped it. It is gorgeous. We're getting some answers coming in, guys. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to give me some more answers, and then I'm going to pick out a winner. Gorgeous facility. Beautiful facility, guys. All right. Looks like we got some answers coming in. All right. Our winner for today is Diane King. All right, Diane, congratulations. I will be sending out your goodies from Prosthetic Centers of Excellence. And guys, take a look through their website. I've been so impressed by, even though it's been a short time that I've known about this clinic and working with Leslie, they really have it together. They are really a beautiful example of what a prosthetic clinic should be and how it should serve its patients and its clients in the amputee limb loss community. All right, guys. So congratulations, Diane. Please send me your address. I can send you out your goodies. And guys, we're going to get the studio ready because Reggie's going to do his workout. We're going to do our Jane Fonda workout. That's right. We're going to
put me to work.
I'm going to put him to work. I'm going to sit here and drink my soda. But in the meantime, guys, we're going to show you the different exercises that you can start doing at home for your core. Oh, I don't know it. All right. See you in a minute. Don't go away. Hey guys, we're back. And as you can see, you're seeing all my secrets now of my garage and all the interesting things we have here in my garage. But you know what? It's what works. It's what works. All right, guys. So we talked about the core today, right? We talked about the abdominal muscles, specifically the transverse abdominis, deep in your abdomen, right? We have the back extensors, specifically the tiny little multifidus muscle that does a lot of work. We have the diaphragm and we have the pelvic floor. Now, because of the nature of pelvic floor exercises, we're not going to be able to demonstrate any of those today, but we're going to give you an exercise to help with the diaphragm, with the transverse abdominis, and with your multifidus. And if you remember what I said about my talk, and those of you who are joining me right now, guys, and you weren't able to listen to the lecture, go back. We're going to have it posted on my YouTube channel and also on the Facebook page so you can hear the ins and outs of this, okay? So if you remember what I said earlier in the talk, each one of these muscle groups needs to learn to act on its own first. You need to know how to activate it and how to get your body to engage these neglected muscles. Then, after you've done that, then you start teaching them how to work together and piecing together. And again, this is where the expertise of a pelvic floor dysfunction therapist or a back pain specialist really comes into play because they are so good at making this happen, right? So this first exercise is going to be diaphragmatic breathing. Now, if you take a deep breath, usually what you do is you expand your chest and you suck it all in, right?
Yep.
Especially if you're posing.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So, but that's actually really not using your diaphragm to its full extent. Okay. And this one's a little tough one to do. I can only do about 3 of them the right way. We're standing sideways because I want you guys to see what our bellies are doing. Okay. And you can do this in sitting, but if you're able to stand safely, it's really best done in standing. You rest your hands on your abdomen. You're not going to use your hands to push or pull or do anything. Your hand is just there so you can just see it go up and down during the right time. All right, so to start this, when you take a deep breath in, you push your belly out. And this is going to be very strange if you've never done this before. So deep breath in. And then when you exhale, you pull the belly in gently. Okay? First time he did this, he was like, what are you asking me? And every single patient, whenever I ask them to do this, they're like, what? Try it, guys. Ready? Deep breath in, belly out. Exhale, pull the belly in. Now, one thing we learned with Reggie is when he was pulling his belly in, right, he was doing it just a little too aggressively and he started feeling it a little bit in his back. So if you start feeling any pain with this, that means you're being way too aggressive, right? The goal with this is, again, I'm going to let Reggie stand sideways. Deep breath in, belly out, right? Exhale, bringing your belly in. And the nice bonus about this is you're also starting to activate that transverse abdominis when you're pulling your belly button in, okay? And here's the caveat, and I always like to educate my patients on this because when they go home and do these exercises, if they're not doing them properly, they're gonna blow right through the right muscle. If you're being too aggressive and you're like trying to really suck that belly in, you're gonna start activating your obliques and other muscles, okay? And we want to activate that transverse abdominis. So you gotta be gentle, right? You gotta be gentle. So deep breath in, belly out, right? And then blow the air out, bring the belly in gently. Okay, he's doing a really good job. You got better at this, just even a few practices, right? It takes practice, guys, for this to be comfortable. Now, with some of my patients, right, and I can only do 3 in a row, and then I have to just take a break and relax. This is meant to be a training exercise to really get you to activate that diaphragm so that when you start doing other activities, right, and you're breathing, your diaphragm knows to wake up and do this motion a little bit easier. Okay, guys, does this make sense? Yes, Jean. Yoga breathing. I actually don't do yoga, but I do know many of my patients who do yoga, and you'll find this kind of breathing on the websites. And this is, I really should start doing yoga.
You should.
I probably should. You too. Okay, but it really does focus on engaging the core the proper way, right? And starting with the breathing exercises. Okay, so the first couple of times you do this exercise, you might just do 1 breath. And then you might just have to kind of take a break, right? And take a couple of your normal breaths and then go back, do it again to do it properly. For me, I'm all about quality over quantity. If you can only do 2 or 3 good ones, to me, that's better than doing 10 crappy ones. Okay? All right, guys, so that's your exercise for diaphragm, getting that diaphragm to wake up a little bit, all right? So this next one is the multifidus. And if you guys remember, right? Would you mind if I use your back a little bit?
Yep.
Okay. So ready, so let me use his back anatomy. Okay, so as you can see right here, right, you see this little tunnel right here, this little valley. This is where obviously his vertebral spine is. This is where the bony part of his vertebra are, right there. And you can feel it on yourself. It's like the knobby on women, it's a little bit easier to palpate. It's like the knobby little bumps that go right up and down here. You can see right here, right along the side, you're not to push, is the back extensors. Those are those nice long ones that I was talking about, right? Your multifidus is going to be deep here, underneath this chunk of muscle right here, okay? And a lot of people will say, there's no way to isolate that. There's no way to get that working because it's way too deep. I beg to differ, and we're going to show you how to do it, okay? So those of you who are able to stand comfortably, and even in sitting, you can. I tried it this morning, and you can do this in sitting as well. You're going to take one hand, which you know you're most comfortable doing, and put there. And you're going to first find your spinous process right there, right? And when you feel those knobby little bumps, you just ever so gently move off to the side. Nope, too far. Yep, start at the knobby bumps and then move over just a little bit. Right there. It's really not far away, guys. And you might have to troubleshoot this. So here's the center of his spine, and he just moved just a smidgen over this way. Then he's going to take his opposite hand and go up and down. Okay?
Feel it activating.
Yeah. So what you should be feeling underneath your fingers here is like a little twitching.
Yep.
Okay? Little twitching, not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
Okay?
Yep.
So let's go ahead and have you turn around. And guys, this is a really great one. Runners use this one when we go running to kind of wake up those multifidus muscles. And this is the one that for me, when I'm standing too long and I'm getting lazy and I feel that pain in my back, it's like, oh, where goes the multifidus, right? So again, you palpate in the back. I'm going to have you stand forward. You palpate and feel the little bony spinous process. You move ever so slightly to the side, right? If you're moving over here, you're not going to feel it. If you move an inch, you're not going to feel it. Right here. And then you move the opposite arm. Okay? And sometimes just to wake them up, we'll do what we call quick firing, right? Because this is going to get it really twitching,
I really
right?
feel it twitching now. Yeah. Yep.
Right? And then to get your other side, right, you're going to do the opposite. So in this case, I'm putting my right hand on the right side of my spine, okay? And then using my left hand.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Kay?
Yeah, I feel it working.
It's a great parlor trick.
Yep.
And then the other way, for those of you who are a little bit more advanced, again, my runners, I do this trick. I'm going to angle the camera down just a bit. Okay. So once again, I'm going to take my left hand, put it on my left side so I can grab those multifidus on the left. And then I'm going to take my right foot and come forward. And I'm just shifting forward to my right foot. I'm leaving my right foot planted forward, almost in a diagonal pattern. And I'm just shifting back and forth. And actually, that's too much because I'm not feeling it. So
I feel it.
okay, it's very subtle.
It is.
You just do small weight shifts. I was doing way too big weight shifts. Okay.
I
Right?
felt it more when I was
Yes. And
working my arm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's some way that people do it. Joan says, my husband is laughing at me doing that exercise. It is a little fun. You can imagine when I go running in the mornings and I'm like, people are like, hi, Cosi, what's going on? Yeah. Anyways, so guys, for those of you, and I'm kind of crouching down because the camera's a weird angle. For those of you who are a little bit more advanced and are able to get into the all fours, the quadruped position, we're going to show you a different way to activate the multifidus muscle. And this is a little bit more, you got to be a little bit more careful with your form on this one. And we're going to show you. So what I have here is basically I stole one of my husband's toolkits. Shh, don't tell him. It's only about 2 inches off the ground, and that's all you need. Some people might use a foam, a 2-inch foam. Some people might use enough towels stacked up, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to have Reggie get onto all four. I'm going to try to get in a position over here where I'm out of the way. He's going to put his left knee onto this little block over here, this 2-inch block. So this side is higher up. This hip is higher up. He's going to take this hip and lift up and down and up and down. Okay, guys? And as he's lifting up, he's only doing a very small lift to get his hips even. Okay, he does not want to lift too much. Go ahead and give an example. Too much, right? Because then he's blowing through the multifidus. Remember, that multifidus is a tiny, tiny, tiny little muscle. So not rotating, not doing any weird side bending motions. It's just a very small 2-inch lift to get the hips nice and even. Okay? And go ahead and relax for a moment. Excellent. All right, we're good.
Good.
Take this out of the way. Yep, that was good. So guys, we're gonna do the
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
So he's gonna get comfortable for this next exercise. So guys, with the multifidus one, I would recommend if you've never really worked it before, do that one standing up, the funny one with the arm going up and down, okay? And if you want to try something and you're comfortable getting up and down off the floor, that's another way to kind of activate it. But again, watch your form, okay? So this next one, this is probably one of the first exercises I ever learned to teach a patient with back pain, and it's how to activate the transverse abdominis, okay? Now, we did a little bit of transverse abdominis activation when you did the diaphragmatic breathing, right? When you're pulling your stomach gently in, your belly button in. But I like doing it in this position mainly because that's all you have to focus on, right? So if you're somebody who has a weak core, and you may not even know it until you try this exercise because it's not very easy to do, putting yourself in a position where everything else is relaxed and you can focus on the transverse abdominis is what you want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this side. All right. So guys, for this particular exercise, really got to rethink my wardrobe here. You want to have your knees as bent as comfortably as you can. Now, Reggie is obviously bilateral amputee, so for him, this is his comfort. Sometimes I try to have my patients with their feet flat or as flat as they will go. You want that to be there to take the stress off the lower back, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to feel with your first and middle finger, right? Feel for the iliac crest. That's the big fat bone that's sticking up. And another reason why I like this position is, for me, it allows the soft tissue to relax, so you're really able to palpate what you need to feel in order to get this exercise right. So right now he's feeling his hip bone. Obviously with men, it's going to be a bit more narrow. Women, you're going to have to go a little bit wider out, okay? And then you're just going to kind of roll those fingers in, okay? Roll those fingers in. Some places will tell you you got to go in a centimeter, down a centimeter. Usually for me, just kind of rolling the fingers in, and you can go ahead and do that, okay? So the movement that Reggie's going to do is he's going to pretend that he has a string on his belly button and that someone is pulling the string underneath him. So pulling his belly button down into the ground, okay? And unfortunately, you can't really see it, but it's a very gentle contraction. I can see his belly button raising up and down just a little bit, so I know he's doing the right thing. And then underneath his fingers, he is feeling that contraction. You can feel it? And again, guys, it's a very gentle contraction because if you try to do it too hard, you're going to activate the obliques and the rectus abdominis, and that's not what we're trying to target. So it's actually more difficult to do this, right? Right? People can blow through 100 crunches and sit-ups, but you have them do this, and they can't activate it. But he's been practicing, so he's actually getting pretty good. So the first part of it is, once you've learned how to activate that, again, visualize drawing your belly button towards your spine, right? Activating that transverse abdominis. The next step is, can you hold it? Can you hold it for 3 seconds or 5 seconds? So we got Reggie up to 5.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, why is Reggie counting out loud? Because I can't count, number one, and number two, because it's going to prevent him from holding his breath.
Mm-hmm.
When you're counting out loud, you have to breathe. It's physically impossible to hold your breath while you're talking, right? So what that's doing is it's getting this diaphragm to start working and playing nicely with the transverse abdominis. See what I did there? Okay, good. And again, guys, with this exercise, oftentimes my patients can only do 1 or 2 contractions at a time. And then I gotta just let them relax a little bit because it does take time and effort to really figure out how to start engaging this. Guys, I still have trouble doing this, and I still have to work on this. Oftentimes I'll tell folks, first thing in the morning when you wake up, do 5 of these. get that transverse abdominis to wake up and start working, okay? So the ballpark is when the person's able to do 10 of these and hold them properly for 5 seconds each time, then I progress them a little bit, okay? So the progression is just this. Do the contraction, and then take an arm and lift it up behind you while holding the contraction, right? And that's not easy. Like you can see he's holding it and releasing it, holding it and releasing it. Yeah, this is not easy, guys. This is really not as easy as it looks. I remember going to a course once thinking I was such a badass and thought I had a strong core. They had me doing this. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So what you'll notice is, and you can't see it from the camera, unfortunately, but he does the contraction, then he releases a little bit, and then he grabs the contraction again. So it means he's just not quite ready for this particular part. And he just needs to work on doing several repetitions. And you'll see therapists doing all sorts of things, like once the person can move their arm up and down, well, then let's make it more challenging. We have the person take their leg, straighten it out, and bend it up again while holding this transverse abdominis contraction. And then your pelvic floor therapist will then start doing stuff and saying, well, engage your pelvic floor, engage your transverse abdominis, and then do this movement. And we start to put the pieces of that puzzle together. Does that make sense, guys?
It's very tricky.
It is tricky.
Yeah, takes some
It
practice.
is. It is.
To get it right.
And I find that my patients who do yoga and Tai Chi, those are the two that tend to have a better connection with their core in terms of fully integrating and really activating this. All right, man. Ready?
That's awesome.
You good?
Are we good?
All right, we're good. Woo! All right, let's get this back up here again. Yes, the value of isometric movement, Jean. Yes, and that's basically what you're doing whenever you're rehabilitating, guys. And this is just kind of a general protocol in terms of rehabilitating a muscle, whether it's a muscle that's been injured, really good, Cosi, injured, or if it's a muscle that has just atrophied from disuse. Okay, you have to start with just the isometric contraction, meaning just the contraction where it's just contracting. It's not moving, right? You just isolate it and start that contraction. And then you add the different pieces to make it more challenging. The goal being, right? The goal is that when you go to lift a 40, 50-pound object, right? That your pelvic floor, your transverse abdominis, everything gets engaged without you having to think about it, right? And you can do all these movements safely without getting injured. Make sense? Denise says, tricky to find the right spot. Don't feel the twitch. And again, with the transverse abdominis, and again, this is where your therapist, I always get my patient's fingers and I say, there's your transverse abdominis. That's what you should be feeling. That's what my therapist did for me, because I was just like, man, I'm just struggling too. Okay. It can be a little tricky, and you might need, especially if you have extra soft tissue here, to have to kind of dig in a little bit deeper. Okay. Hey, Wafa. Oh, I can't wait to meet Wafa in person. I cannot wait to meet her in person. And hang on, my mouse is deciding not to work, so I want to see some of these comments. All right. All right, guys. So how many of you have been trying these exercises while we're doing them? I know Joan said her husband was laughing at her doing this exercise. How many of y'all tried this? Which one did you try? Put it in the comment section for me.
Joan, let's see your husband try this exercise.
Right?
So you can laugh at him.
Right?
Silly.
It was funny. I was practicing the presentation a couple of days back, and my husband was sitting here keeping me company. He's just looking at me. He's like, I've never tried breathing like that. That's weird. And I go, I know. I'm telling you, but it works. It works. Let's see. Jean says pelvic exercise another day. Jean, I will be very honest with you. I am not a pelvic floor therapist. That is one of the very few specialties that I have not had experience in. Like I said, I've worked in a multitude of other specialties, just not that one. And that's unfortunate. And also just the nature of some of these pelvic floor exercises, it requires privacy, in a room. So it's not something I'm able to do here on camera. But again, if this is something that you feel that you need, I would definitely just Google pelvic floor dysfunction therapist near me, and you will find them. Connie, you have them, all of them. Great. Excellent. Kay was trying it. Susan was trying it. Rhonda was trying all of them. Oh, I'm so excited, guys. I'm so excited. I'm so glad that you came, because this is the part that for me on the show on Wednesday nights, it's hard for me to demonstrate exercises. Grant tried them all. Excellent, guys.
Nice. Very cool.
All right, guys, we're going to do our last giveaway for today. And it's College Park. Okay. So Kristen is going to post for us in the comments section. Wafa said, I tried the one standing and moving the arm. David says, I'll let Reggie do mine. He's doing
Smart man,
Yeah,
David.
he's a good guy. All right, so we've got the link posted to the College Park website. Your question is, how long is the trial program for College Park? How long can you trial one of their feet? Post it in the comments section, guys, and we are going to find a winner here. Yes, Charles, it is going to be posted onto my YouTube channel. Then it will stay there for a very long time. Actually, I don't have my phone on me, so I'm not going to know how long. There it is. All right, guys, so go. All right, we're getting some answers in. All right, Diana, Mark, Maggie's got it, Jean's got it, Roy's got it, Kay's got it. All right, we're going to wait to see who our winner is. Guys, tonight I will be going on at my usual 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm basically going to just kind of collect the questions that I missed today and yesterday and try to answer some of these questions for you. Guys, I say it so many times, and so many of you have been so wonderful about sharing these videos out to your support groups, sharing them on your personal pages. I really appreciate that. I am a mom and pop organization, so I rely upon you all to help me spread the word, and I really appreciate it, and I know my sponsors appreciate it as well. So thank you. All right, we got a lot of people who are chipping in. Awesome. And guys, this is probably one of my favorite, many of my favorite features in College Park, with their ability to allow you to try a foot, try before you buy. I mean, how many cars do you test drive before you
That's right.
bring it out of the parking lot? So why wouldn't you do the same with the foot that you have to wake up with every day? Yes. Okay. So, all right, we've got a winner coming in very soon. I know Laura's going to get back to me very soon. Laura, are you there? Laura, I know you're there. All right. So guys, tomorrow's talk is going to be about gait and gait deviations. We're going to be talking about the gait cycle and all the different things that can happen. Diana Baker, we got Diana Baker as our winner. All right, Diana. So Diana, I'm going to be sending you, College Park is going to send you the College Park Rebuilt shirt, College Park hat, and a College Park water bottle. Congratulations, Diana. Guys, tomorrow is the last day, and you can still get your virtual stamp card in. If you haven't already filled it out, guys, go sign up for my email subscription so that you can get your virtual stamp card. These are serious swag bags. There's about $200 worth of goodies in each of these swag bags. I am raffling 2 of them off. So go to my email subscription, sign up for it, turn your stamp card in. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, both on my YouTube page and on the Facebook page. And we're going to talk about gait deviations. All right, Reggie, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you,
so much for
Cosi.
coming.
Thank you, Cosi Nation.
Guys, College Park, thank you for bringing Reggie out. We'll see you tomorrow with Alex and Prosthetic Center of Excellence.
Yay, yay.
Bye.